This episode of Grade 43 is brought to you by On Trajectory. See where your money is taking you at ontrajectory.com.
Somewhere out there is a class that has no teacher, a grade that leads to no degree. Recess is all but a memory. The children call the shots and the pets are merciless. There are no meetings, but there are still conference calls and always homework. Two middle-aged men with a guitar problem in the form of a podcast. Welcome to Grade 43. Get off my lawn.
28 minutes. What are we doing in 28 minutes?
Dude, I even put on a different shirt because I was like, I got to wear a specific shirt.
Got to dress up for this.
I got to dress up for this. Well, we're talking. Ryan is a graphic designer, and you can see it in his show and in his logo, and like it's all just so professionally done. If you know when you know graphic design and you see something professionally done, you know it's professionally done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he's no slouch. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and so I'm like, he's gonna look at our like. I need to wear a cool T-shirt.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That was what I was wearing like.
I prefer to be a true documentarian. This is how it is. This is how beige it is in my room right now. Okay.
Right. Well, the true Calamar has, just like he has a pedal for any possible what if, I have an outfit for any possible what if.
Not just a T-shirt, a whole damn outfit. Yeah.
Oh. Put on my Joe Satriani hat, you know? Let's go. Oh. Let's go.
I could just, I mean, in my head, I'm imagining you going through a closet, like it's just got like a lazy Susan of just different outfit elements. Oh. Here's the hat, here's the T-shirt, here's the slacks.
Nerd event. I got a nerd event. I need to wear a hacker T-shirt, you know? Like whatever. I got the others. Oh, I got to wear the plaid shirt, whatever.
Yeah. Do you store? Now, let me ask you. This is a serious question. Do you store your, let's call them regular shirts, elsewhere from like your graphic or ironic T-shirts?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. So I have kind of gotten away from wearing too much, like goofy T-shirts. I don't know. I think I just got old. I'm like, I want plain T-shirts that have no logos, no nothing on them.
Yeah, I don't even want the brand moniker on there. It's like, get that off of there, please.
Yep, and I know how to buy those because I used to work for a T-shirt company. So I buy blank T-shirts, and they're much cheaper, and they're super nice. And then I have like a stash in a box. It's like, oh, I got to go to a thing, and I just look through it, and I have a couple that I wear, but otherwise, no. But I have a ton.
You have like a costume trunk, really.
I have a costume trunk. I have a costume trunk of like, oh, let me wear my GitHub shirt because I got to go impress the kids with my GitHub T-shirt.
Yes.
So
we should do this. So folks, just so you know, we're doing the bumpers on the fly without the event actually having had happened. So that's happening at the top of the hour. And I'm acutely aware that when we did our Steve interview, although we painted 99.9% of the picture, we did not say, hello, folks, this is the mystery guest. Sign in, please. Here's his name. Here's his rank and serial number. So let's tell folks specifically so they can. It'll also whet their appetites, I think, a little bit.
Well, did we even say hi to start the pod? Like, hey, everybody, welcome back.
No, we just go.
That was a hard cold open. Like, hey, everybody, welcome back. Last episode was awesome. We talked to Steve Sterlacci, the man living the dream.
Warmed up.
Absolutely. I mean, he was, man, what a story. His whole deal is like, I think it's just no fear. I don't know. It's just kind of amazing.
Yeah, he just goes like, you know. It's.
I'm going to go play baseball.
I think I've said this a million times before, but there's like that Monty Python bit where they do like a spoof of like a 70s talk show, and they're like, it's called How to Do Things. And it's like, tonight we're going to learn how to play the flute. And they're like, you blow into the holes and you move your fingers. Good night. And I feel like he's got that kind of attitude where he's just like, it's like, okay, all right, those are the components. Okay, I'm going to learn how to blow into it and move my fingers, and just like go. Like, there's nothing intimidating. So
he's like watching his at the time girlfriend play on stage with her friends. He's like, okay, that'd be cool. I should do that. All right, I'm going to go play in her band. All right.
Let me go achieve this. So
let me go do that. And so now he does.
So big props for Steve Sterlacci. And this interview we're also very excited about We are talking to
Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum.
Do you know which one is he? Is he 60 Cycle or is he Hum?
Oh, that's a good question. We'll have to ask him that. Yeah. I think we're both kind of like excited about it.
Yeah, excited, and we're crunched for time, and we're late on releasing stuff. And folks, if you're lucky, this might be a doubleheader. I don't think it will be because I think I'm going to crawl under my desk after this. But
totally. It's an evening one. We're doing it after hours because that's just how we roll.
We haven't done that ever, have we?
We did.
Scott,
we did it for
Eric.
Oh,
Eric, that's right.
Eric was an evening call. Yeah, the luthier and repair guy who also is wild. These interviews are all just so great. I love it.
I like the and so to open to pull back the curtain a little bit for all 50 some odd of you out there. So we've been, meanwhile, the subtext of all this is Cal and I have been going back and forth about like our slides episode and like, what are we going to do for that? We're going to do this or whatever. And then like this came up. And so it's just like, just a total go moment to just be able to capitalize on this. And we don't know what will happen next, but something will happen.
Exactly. Oh, wait, is that a picture of Ryan behind you with Kermit the Frog?
That's Jim Henson.
I know. It just kind of works with it's a meta.
No, I think Ryan's beard's more impressive. So
his beard is quite impressive.
So all right, so we have not had this interview yet. All of our previous interview bumpers we've been able to talk about and say, oh, it was so great. You know, there was Try the Veal and all that. What is your bold prediction for our upcoming interview?
I got a feeling Ryan is going to end up like interviewing us. I feel like it's just his nature, and so we're going to be answering his questions or something. I don't know.
I'm glad to do that because to complete the thought where we were talking about our slide episode back and forth, the inference there, when you get an interview, you come up with like a dozen questions real fast. Yeah. And then the interview starts and you're just like, you just grab onto the, you grab onto the reins and you just hope that it takes you someplace good. So,
Right. Yeah. I mean, like it's all about, it's about, what is it about? Well, like what you just said is just so true. You don't just have this, you have this list of questions, but you end up asking two of them, and somehow it's like a 4-hour conversation.
It's like improv. It's like showing up at a jam.
Right.
So we're going to go jam with words here with Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum. And my bold prediction, we're going to have some sort of audio hijinks. Just no one knows better than me.
Right. He'll be yelling from the other room.
That's right.
Hey, guys, I can't be in the room. I got to talk from the other room. Hope that's okay.
It's all right. We got in the queue for that. There it is.
What? Here I am. I made it.
That out.
Sorry if I left you guys waiting.
No, not at all.
No, it's stroke 8. Right on time.
Dude, 8. Come on. Yeah. The world has changed so much now. It's like, I'm afraid to even call people. Like, I have to text them. Hey, I'm going to call you.
Is it okay if I call you? Yeah.
When I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, it was like, I just call you. Whatever.
Right, totally. Yeah.
Right?
No, I don't want any. I've been thinking a lot lately. I don't want my phone to work as a phone anymore.
It is absurd that we still call them phones anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the only people that call me, I definitely don't want them to call me. It's just like scam accounts and stuff.
Oh,
like
100%.
Yeah. Like all day long, I maybe get like 1 or 2 calls a month where I'm like, yeah, that's a call that I want.
Yeah, or it's like related, like they're shitty still in some way. You're like, oh, that's related to an appointment, right?
Oh man, I was about to say that's going to get into our to the first question we're going to ask in a couple minutes after we have the hello kind of.
That's true. So we just cold opened on there. So super excited to talk to Ryan from 60 Cycle Hum. And Cal and I were just talking before the show, like when we were toying with the idea of doing a podcast, we just started running off and just consuming and looking around out there and your content, because I know you're YouTube, you're a visual guy, was definitely like top of the heap for us. And
nice.
I think one of the things that I appreciate about your content is that you're just super honest about your own ability to play the guitar, and that makes the inner me go, hell yeah.
My disability to play the guitar.
so I think that makes me feel like at least we have a lot of overlap, because it's more about like, you know, the gear and getting excited about something, and maybe even some sort of weird experiment. So, you know, there's a million good guitarists, amazing guitarists out on the internet doing that stuff.
Boring.
But you know, you're doing something else out there that's you know, not that many other people are doing. So that's my long-winded rambling way of saying thanks for hanging out with us.
Of course,
dude.
I have just a rule, a personal rule, that if someone asks me to be on their podcast, I'll just do it. So,
sweet.
Sorry if that makes you feel less special.
What are you doing in 2 weeks? Because we're a little short on content. So.
Yeah, we'll do another one.
Yeah, sure, I'll come back. I didn't even know if I'll like this yet. I'll like it.
All right. Well, we will entertain whatever hostile takeover bids. And, as long as we get stock options and votes, we're okay.
That's right.
I'm not taking. Are you saying that I'm going to take over?
You're going to buy our podcast.
No, I'm not buying anything.
From like an operational level, like we'll still make the decisions, but you'll do all the work.
That's right.
I'll charge you guys a consulting fee for podcasting tips.
Perfect. Invoice Calamar.
That's right. It's the old. Here's how you make a small fortune in podcasting. You start with your large fortune, and then you chip away.
If time is money, then podcasting definitely leaves you bankrupt. I
was doing the books because we planned like for 6 months ish, and then with sponsorship and stuff getting more. But I'm looking at quote unquote the books, doing our annual report to our shareholders, and I'm sitting there going like, okay, we only owe ourselves like $350. That ain't bad.
It's good that you're staying organized from the get-go. Like that's, stuff like that keeps you going. And well, it sometimes lets you know when to stop,
Totally. That's important.
It is
important.
Like Steve and I, we started as a podcast, and we've been keeping like books on the costs of what it takes to run the show from the very beginning, so we can look all the way back to like 2014 and see like when we got our first sponsors, when we got this and that, when we spent a bunch of money on equipment or something like that.
Yeah, like we were just in the pregame just marveling at what your overhead must be, right? We're like, because part of doing the books is like, yeah, we didn't spend that much money on equipment this year, but like we spent probably what you'll spend on a bulb, maybe, or some sort of like lighting device or
right. No, I just told people in a Premiere chat like, oh yeah, I've probably got like $2,000 in lighting equipment in here, and I thought about it afterwards and like, oh, that's just the equipment I'm using right now. And it's all budget stuff. Like it's really easy to blow big money on camera stuff and lighting and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
This whole universe just craves capitalism, right?
Right. No. It never ends. People are always going to spend money, and I'm here to be part of it. Like sometimes people, like, I'm pretty politically left these days. Sometimes people come accuse me of being a capitalist or socialist or whatever. I'm like, do you see what I do?
Right.
Do you see what my whole purpose in life is? To push you to purchasing things.
The iron fist of fascist guitars, right?
Right. I just think we could take care of poor people is all. I don't know.
Right.
That's a brilliant little segue to Calamar's next question. What typically comes up?
Oh, okay.
Calamar's warm-up.
This is like our one signature question that we always ask people, because our podcast, sort of the premise is like, we're just a couple of guys who have 9-to-5 type of jobs, a bunch of pets and kids and all that. And so it's the adulting question. What is the last sort of adulting thing that you had to do?
Oh, man. Adulting thing.
I know.
Here is a giant milestone in a parent's life, in a dad's life, that we just crossed over like
I know, right?
2 weeks ago, and I'm still like in shock, and I'm waiting for it to go back to the way it was. My youngest, my 4-year-old, started sleeping through the night in her own bed. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's like I'm a different person.
Yeah, it's like, sleep. This is what sleep does. Ooh.
She's just been like one of those kids that wakes up 5 times a night and insists that you be in the room with her, sort of thing, or wants to crawl in bed.
Oh yeah. And
I just got 100% fed up with it one night. Well, because she cock blocked me. And I'm like, it ends tonight. I'm done. And so I'm like, if you're gonna be awake, if you're gonna wake me up and have me be awake, then you're gonna be awake. And I went in her room and I was like, I'm probably traumatizing her right now. This is probably gonna cost me so much in therapy. But I turned on the light and I'm like, if you're keeping me awake, I'm keeping you awake.
Oh
and
my God.
And I sat on her bed until like 3:30 in the morning. Like, I'm not gonna let you fall asleep. If you're not going to let me leave, I'm going to keep you awake. And I just kind of broke her spirit. And then it took me 2 days to recover from that sort of thing. But next night, she's like, oh, I sleep in my own bed now. She got cocky about it.
Oh, like, that's awesome, though.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
My wife put her to bed the next night because I was still wrecked physically and emotionally. And then the very next night,
God, I hope this works. God, I hope this works. God, I hope
the very next night, I put her to bed. And so we do the thing, read a story. I let her watch a cartoon, like a short cartoon before bed sort of thing. And she hands me the phone. And normally I would lay there on the floor until she fell asleep sort of thing. And she's looking at me and she's got this look on her face that I've never seen her make before. And then she points at the door.
Wow.
She's like, it's time for you to go. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you want, old man? Get out of here.
Get out the door.
So she's got
fantastic.
Now she's got this attitude like, I don't need you. This is my room. Leave. I'm like, where was that? Where's that been for 4 years?
Yeah, well, don't doubt it. Just enjoy it, right?
My daughter just did that to me too.
Congratulations.
She was like, Daddy, get out. When it was time for bed, I was like, yes.
Right. Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Oh, no.
Yes. Oh, no. Exactly. I was going to say that we're dealing with daylight savings time here, or the end of daylight savings time. And the first night worked great, but now her body's still on her old schedule. So she's going to bed an hour later because we're putting her to bed because it's dinner time or whatever, but getting up an hour earlier, which blows, right? Because I got up. And then she's not getting as much sleep, so she's Miss Cranky Pants every day. So good times. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the time change. Like everyone loves this recent time change.
They don't have kids. Those people that love it don't have kids.
No.
But they love it because like, oh, extra hour of sleep. I'm like, yeah, but like the time of my day where I would normally get to go do fun stuff is gone now.
Yeah. It's not a cost-free extra hour of sleep.
No.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I have a plan for time that some people shoot me down for it and say, no, that's a terrible idea. It could never work. And some people are like, oh yeah, maybe, I don't know. No one's as excited about it as I am. But we have the technology to change the time on everyone's devices all over the world, minute by minute, day by day. And there's no reason why we couldn't just decide the sun sets at 9 every night. Yeah, the time of the morning changes, the sunrise changes every single day, but everyone gets hours of daylight after their work day every single day because it changes like 10 seconds a day. And you never notice the change, but you're like, oh man, this is the time of year where it's dark in the morning, you know, but I don't do anything in the morning. I wake up and then I go to work.
I wake up and I go, oh shit, this again.
Yeah.
I'm awake. It's dark.
Oh no.
Jerry Maguire. Let's go.
Right.
That old guy. Come on. No.
That's my plan that no one will ever adopt. So.
I gotta like study that for a little. I gotta think that through. I don't think I have an innate reaction.
I think I understand. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, you might not be sensitive to this tomorrow, but tomorrow is Veterans Day, and it is the only holiday at my daughter's school that they don't get off. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
My kid gets it off.
And same here.
I forgot it was coming up, and it's like, why does he get Friday off again? Maybe it's like a teacher, like parent thing or something.
That's totally a regional thing because I can recall being because I used to live near Calamar. I can recall, we never really had it off. I don't think the kids,
every other federal holiday, and now we even have more diverse holidays here, even, like Diwali and Eid and all that stuff. But for whatever reason, Veterans Day doesn't fall under that. So tomorrow's like lunch date with my wife. It's like we're gonna just go,
I mean, actually, that kind of works. You can get the kid to school.
It's the only day. Every other federal holiday to me is not interesting.
Right.
I'm with my kid. So I love my kid. I don't.
Of course. Right. We all love our kids. Sometimes they're just incredibly inconvenient,
And
they're terrible project managers. Like,
my gosh, yeah. I put them in charge of stuff all the time and never gets done.
And I'm really bad at, like, I'll leave a hint, like, we're going on a trip in 3 days, so between now and then, you might want to do some laundry. Just doesn't happen, right? So,
well, he's got teenagers, and it doesn't happen. This is what I've learned: is that teenagers are just able-bodied toddlers. So I'm terrified of what's to come. Like, they're just more capable of destruction.
I'm not looking. I'm in some ways I'm looking forward to teenagers. In other ways, I'm like, oh man, I was a wreck as a teenager. They're going to be wrecks too. Like, it's the worst time of your life. Like, being a teenager is terrible. It's terrible for you. It's terrible for everyone around you.
Yes. And you suck. Like, you're terrible with your parent. I was just kind of like, what do you know?
Yeah, they're definitely they're definitely a reactive element. Where the coolness comes from teens, because in case I don't know who our listeners are. We don't have.
Oh, they might be all teens.
They might all be teens. Who knows? We might be very. Calamar is very.
You've got a huge. You got like a dad-centered podcast here. Huge teen audience.
Yes, they love
dad jokes. It's it's what kills them. Is the overlap of when you see it, and like what gives me a glimmer of hope. I was talking to one of the girls, and they were watching a TikTok, and it had a Rolling Stones song in it, and I was like, "That sounds like this Rolling Stones song," and I played it, and she was like, "Yeah, that's it, note for note," and it was like, Cool. And it's like, okay, so the Rolling Stones got in front of them
Dad.
Somehow.
Wait, but you got it kind of cool because I have my guitar student's a teenager, and I got a and I told his dad, he's like, you got a double he is excited. Like,
whoa,
that was big.
He shrugged four times.
Yeah, keep that up, whatever you're doing with him, because you got a double
Yeah. All right. So one thing I got to ask about, and this is just, I just triggered a recent memory from something I was doing. Can we talk about left-handed guitars a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. Is that an okay topic? Because,
are you a lefty?
No, I'm not. But I've got some sympathies for how you roll, right? So, and we'll put a link to it, right? So you are naturally left-handed. That's like your dominant hand.
Yeah, I write with my left hand, and I play. See, I don't like to say it. I don't play guitar right-handed. I play guitar both-handed. We all play guitar.
Right. Yes.
That was such a good observation.
Yes.
Everything we do is sort of. There's very few things you do with one hand other than like right. Like
right. Yeah.
Like there aren't left-handed cars and right-handed cars, right? The stick shift is always,
unless you're in
the middle.
England.
Unless you're, that's an entirely different thing. So anyway,
would American cars be left-handed cars or right-handed cars?
Are we judging? It all depends. Like, which hand are we judging? Are we judging steering or shifting?
You're supposed to use the steering wheel two-handed, but probably should be shifting. But then, how many Americans drive manual anymore?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, manual's pretty prevalent in Europe,
yes,
but not so much here. Yeah. I mean, I drive a manual, but most people don't.
Yeah.
I guess I'm right. I'm right-handed manual. Now that I think about it.
So, I have some
manual?
sympathies.
No, sorry.
Because when I play, I'm right-handed 100% of the time, but when I play hockey, I would be described as shooting left-handed, and it's because I want my dominant hand up at up in this part, and the other part's just like brute force or something like that. So I kind of get like I play both-handed, like you said, it's
right.
It's both things. So anyway, I thought that was a great observation. We'll link to that video. But I had a recent experience, and you can probably explain this.
But it's your most watched one. I was like, what's his most video?
Is it my most watched? Oh,
it is.
So I was using a pair of scissors earlier tonight, cutting some wrapping paper. And I thought, wait a minute, left-handed scissors. And I remember you talk about in your video, and you've got some, some cutting of left-handed scissors. And I remember there being a left-handed kid in the class in elementary school. And it was like, oh, get Johnny his special scissors, right? Or whatever it was. And it's like, oh, right, he's the left-handed one. And like, they wouldn't work in the opposite hands. But I just grabbed a pair of scissors, and I was like, oh, I'm using my right hand. 90% of everybody or whatever I don't know. Don't email us. No one emails us. But anyway, I switched to my left hand and it worked just fine. So what was the deal with left-handed scissors?
I see. Yeah. What is lefty about scissors?
Yeah. Because like they're both sharp things. They're going there. Is it just a comfort thing? But I clearly remember people struggling with it not working.
Maybe you have those pair of ambidextrous scissors and you just don't know it. I got a pair of shears here that I keep at my desk. I'll use these to explain it. I don't know.
Are they lefty shears?
No, they're just shears. But like what it is like the way that the ergonomics of the handles work.
Okay.
Like you're either pressing the blades together or pulling them apart with various scissors. Okay. So if you've got a pair of scissors that are really tight, then it's probably not a problem because the blades are, they're
close
slicing
together.
Yeah. But if you've got blades that are, kind of just normal cheap scissors, then it can be very frustrating. And like
it's going to be more like pulling the paper up through and past the other blade. Okay.
Right. Yeah. It's a pressure thing as far as how like the blades connect with each other. I don't know. If I had regular scissors, oh wait, I do have regular scissors here, and these are right-handed scissors. Do I have paper? I have tissue paper here.
There you go.
So I'm cutting right-handed. Now let's see what happens if I cut left-handed with the same scissors. I guess it works, but it's like super uncomfortable.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe it's like polio and like
scissors.
It's not a thing anymore.
Maybe they fixed scissors. I mean, technology has come a long way with all that stuff.
Right.
But that leads me to my question about the left-right hand thing. You provided like some really, I felt like that advice was so good about why worry about left or right hand when you're doing this, all that, and like quality of guitars and just like really good advice about it for people starting out. And then you got all this like crap thrown out, like you just get like all this poop.
No, people, left and right-handed stuff is a bit of a religion for some people.
Like Ned Flanders.
If you say anything that's contrary to the way they feel about it, they get pretty sensitive.
Yeah.
And I understand it. Like left-handed guitarists that play left-hand oriented guitars, they have the short end of the stick. There's not a lot of options for them. And I get it. My whole point, and I don't know if I communicated the point because I was just kind of rambling.
You did. The video was very clear.
My whole point is there's more right-handed people, like right-handed writing should be playing left-handed guitars in air quotes. Like there should be more left-handed guitars because more right-handed people should be playing them because some people just prefer to fret with their dominant hand.
Right.
And that's totally fine. You can fret with your dominant, you can fret with your non-dominant or strum with your dominant. Like there's different ways to approach the instrument. And so many famous guitarists, incredibly talented guitarists, play opposite of their handedness. And it's like, it's silly that people get upset about it. Like you play that way or you don't, you play the other way. It's fine. If you like the way that you play, then you like the way that you play.
You make this machine make pleasing sounds and however you did it, that's fine. Right.
Right.
So when did you kind of decide to like start calling out people that say unnecessarily mean things to you? Like, because I would be terrified. The internet.
He's only asking for himself.
The internet is horrible. The internet is such a horrible place, and you do it very well. And like, when did you start doing that? And
here's my dirty secret. I like to repost the troll comments, and I get huge pleasure out of the troll comments because I have a long history of being a troll, and it's like I'm admiring their work, I guess you could say. But I also know what's behind that energy, and I know that they're either trying to be funny or they're in a rough spot and they're taking it out on some random on the internet, and it's like they've picked a thing that doesn't matter at all, and that's kind of beautiful. Like none of this matters. None of this is so important that anyone should be upset. We're not talking life and death here.
It's not heart surgery, right?
It's
guitars.
Like, I don't like what you said about that amp. Oh no.
Oh.
It's like I heard someone say about Twitter. I thought that's where everyone went to workshop their bad ideas, right?
Right,
It's like this is what we're here to do. Huh, interesting.
But I have a habit and a history of reposting like screen grabs from YouTube trolls onto Instagram and other places, just to be like, look what this person's doing. Look at this. Like, I want other people to see what I'm seeing here. Like, this is wild, the conclusion this person is coming to, And like, it's a public forum. It's not like they sent me a private message and I'm airing it. It's like, oh, here's something someone said publicly, and they want people to see it. So let's take a look.
To be
totally
there, right?
Yeah, totally. Yep. Now, okay, one time I felt like someone posted something, and then you actually asked an honest question. I actually remember this. I don't know if you remember it. The person was like, I watched a minute of your video, and you just seemed so condescending, I turned it off. And then you said, I would honestly like to understand what it was that I said that made you feel like I was being condescending. But then here was what was the interesting thing that happened, I thought. Your fans rose up to your defense and started to just like...
Right.
Apart for him saying the thing he said, which might have even just been like he didn't speak English well. I don't know. And he's just like, hey,
maybe
whatever it was. And I think we're asking a super sincere question, but then that guy got like,
or maybe he sees the darkness inside of me that other people don't see.
He knows you're a troll inside.
I was like, how did he find out?
How does he know?
What was the tell?
Have you ever gotten? So that's a serious question because we've got like 9 Twitter followers. And,
Do we? We have. When did we get number 9?
Yeah, I know, right?
That might be more than we have. Honestly, we never spend any time on Twitter. It seems like it's a hot place to be right now.
Yeah, we're trying to drive up the the value a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a piece of like YouTube or Twitter or social media feedback and gone, huh? Okay. And has it made what's an example of that? Because I think all people hear is like the what's the thing where you're like, oh my God, you're right, and then I made this thing better. That's the value proposition, right?
There's all sorts of people that'll just be like, well, you can't take constructive criticism, and it's like, well, you didn't. What you just said isn't constructive, or
right.
It's just criticism,
Right.
But I get a ton of information about how to make what I do better from the commenters, and a lot of it I'll take to heart. And it's like, oh man, I've got a couple people saying that they didn't like, this thing that happened in a video, or like, oh, this or that, and it's like, oh yeah, you know what, I'll try not doing that. I'll try doing something differently. So a lot of what I do is absolutely influenced by feedback, and I'd never want to like crush the feedback. I want the feedback as much as possible. In fact, like a very early demo that I did, the pedal builder was like, man, I really like your videos. I'm also an ex-studio engineer. Can I recommend some microphones?
Wow.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yes, please. I have no idea what I'm doing. What can you recommend? So he recommended a couple microphones, and I used his entire demo fee that I charged him to buy microphones and stuff. And he gave me all these tips for how to record guitar amps and stuff like that. I was like, things like that, like absolutely, like no brainer. And when, like, if you've got a lot of people complaining about the same stuff, there's probably something wrong. And in the very early days, people were like, oh, it sounds bad because it's closed mic'd. Like you got the mic too close to the amp. And I'm looking at like demos and tutorials and stuff like that of how to mic things. I'm like, I don't think that's it. And I tried putting my mics different place in the room. Like, that sounds worse. And it was other issues, It
was your playing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was I was using the wrong mics and the wrong technique for them and things like that.
Right. Or EQ, maybe, whatever.
Right. Yeah, my EQ was off. I had a lot of comments from people. Sometimes you get comments from people who have like studio monitors. And so they hear stuff that I don't hear because I don't have nice studio monitors. I have all right monitors, but like they hear things that I can't even hear. And that guy, the pedal builder, was like, hey, these frequencies right here, just dump them, you don't need them. And then I never got a complaint again, and I just dump those frequencies every single time I do a video. Like, I don't have to sit there and listen to it. I just know, like, mechanically, just dump those frequencies. They're not doing anything, you know.
That's cool.
They're just gonna make someone's studio monitors fart out somewhere, and they'll be unhappy.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm getting an E flat from your cabinet there. You know,
But that's taking the suggestions work, because eventually people stop complaining about the issues.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And it's issues that aren't fun to be dealt. Like, it's not like, I mean, because some of your people get creative in the craziness that they say about your that's entertaining. So
right, totally,
that's a
like
thing.
When people take some element of a guitar video personally, it's like, well, here we go. Here's a live one, you know.
So this kind of segues to you were a graphic designer, still are, but like you no longer do that full time.
Yeah, it's pretty much no part of my living anymore, other than the graphic design that I do within all this content I create.
In fact, I told Brian I switched T-shirts because I figured you would be judging my T-shirt, so I had to put on like a cool one. This from a restaurant in Blacksburg. Woo, go Hokies! Where I used to go to school. And what was this transition? And like, did you bring anything aside from your sense of you were a graphic designer, not like a UX designer or
no, just print graphic design was kind of my specialty.
Right.
For like I went to college for it. I got a bachelor's degree.
Yep.
Then my first job out of college was I worked for an apparel company that was one of those big companies that sells in every department store, but you've never heard of them. But like, made every single, corny joke dad shirt and corny joke, like youth shirt. It was like toddlers to young adults, all the corny jokes and all the licensed apparel and stuff like that. So, like 3-panel like comics on, shirts that you buy at Mervyn's and Sears and stuff like that. So I worked that for a couple of years, and the pay sucked and the commute sucked. I really liked seeing my stuff on shirts, but I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I was doing stock illustration on iStock, I was making clip art. It was glorified clip art.
Yep.
But that took
cool.
off for me. So I was able to transition to being self-employed and then starting to pick up freelance clients and stuff like that. And I made a really good living for a while, like really good. I bought my house with graphic design money. Like that's
wow.
In Southern California, that's a huge deal.
That's insane. Yeah. I thought you were in like Ohio or something. No, you're in San Diego. Houses are kind of expensive.
No offense to all of our listeners.
Oh yeah.
Ohio.
I'm just like price of a house in San Diego versus a price of a house in Miami, Ohio, or whatever is.
I have no beef with Miami or Ohio, so
right.
Or Miami of Ohio.
But is there a Miami in Ohio?
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Miami of Ohio.
Yeah.
That might only be a school. Anyway, I don't know. But anyway, so digressing here. So you bought your house even with graphic
design money, yeah.
That's
what ended up happening, because I was doing all that clip art stuff, is that industry got way oversaturated. They changed the pricing models. They changed a lot of things. It got bought out, and the writing was on the wall. And it's like, I've got to transition to something else. I was having a tough time getting enough money out of freelance to like have that be viable. And it's like, my buddy is starting to get into video production, because that's what he went to school for, and he's getting out of his his other job that's not related. And I'm going to go do video production with him and learn how to do that, because you have to be there local rates to do the work. It's not like graphic design where I'm competing with guys in India or wherever, or Miami, Ohio that, aren't paying for a Southern California mortgage, Right. And so it's like, I just wanted to have this shift of like, I'm still doing something creative. I'm still doing something, in the business arts, or whatever you want to call it, in the commercial arts.
Right.
And so I started picking up video stuff. And around that same time, my buddy Steve and I started doing the guitar podcast. And eventually we got sent pedals. And I was like, well, I've got all this video equipment. I'm going to try just filming a demo. Like, someone sent a pedal because they like, the podcast. Let's just see if I can film a demo. And I did one. I was like, oh, that was kind of fun. I didn't get any views, but it's kind of fun. I did a couple more because I was like, let's do it. I'm going to document some stuff that I have. And then I just got hooked. I enjoy it. I just enjoy the work of it. I enjoy like the technical aspects of it. I enjoy playing. I did not enjoy being on camera. It took me years to figure that out. Because if you go back and watch the early videos, it's like, I'm not on camera. You don't hear my voice. It's all captions. And I had like this humbling moment where I realized people aren't watching these videos because I'm not in them and I'm not talking. And the podcast is doing so much better than the YouTube stuff because people like listening to me. So I should probably be talking. And I was super uncomfortable to be on camera. Like I had, public speaking classes in college that I essentially failed.
Wow.
That is not the person that I ever set out to be, is to be a personality on camera that's talking.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was thinking about this, when we were just in doing like my prep for it, like, the whole idea of like something on YouTube versus podcasting. It's like the ultimate pandemic kind of like idea of like, oh, well, there's in person like versus remote. And I was sitting here going like, you know what? Like if I couldn't be glancing off the screen here to read a couple meters and see my notes and all that stuff, I would be so screwed. And you go on camera and, it at least seems like you're there. So you've got this whole other set of considerations, and I think a whole other like skill set to leverage.
It's
impressive, I think.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount of skills that you have to like have figured out to do this stuff. Like I talked to the other YouTubers and I'm like, do you realize that we could go get jobs as newscasters? Like,
right.
Yeah. Like we've trained ourselves to be broadcast professionals so that we can make a couple $100 filming a pedal,
Well, yeah, but the one thing that we all have in common is like none of us are wearing pants right now. And,
oh no, why would I?
Yeah.
I'm not even wearing underwear.
Oh, man.
But so like during the pandemic, when Brian and I were talking about making a podcast, it was I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. I like this. I like doing this stuff too, and I enjoy the commercial arts and things like that. And I started to make a YouTube video of like a pedal, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a lot of work. I don't think I can nope.
You have to really like the work or it's never going to happen.
Yeah, because I love the work. I really just do not have the time, though. If I'm going to keep my job, I can't. Yeah. I can't do it.
And it's definitely more complex.
But that's where we got. It's like
I've been planning for years to make a video about how to film an effective demo with just budget gear that everyone already has. Like most guitars have a microphone. Right. Most guitars have some sort of like interface to record to their computer or something like that, and just like try to come up with a rig. Like here's a demo that I shot with my iPhone and a $50 interface and an SM57 or something like that.
Just I would love that
it could be done. But then people will take my job.
And they will totally take your job.
Having all the time in the world doesn't mean that you're productive, and having money in your bank account doesn't mean that you know what the future brings for you financially. But, as they say, it gets really easy if you know the rules, and that's where On Trajectory comes in. On Trajectory is an easy-to-use, high-fidelity financial planning tool that maps your income, investments, and expenses in a friendly graphical display. On Trajectory captures dozens of data points so that you understand how your decisions affect your finances, now, 2 months from now, or years from now when your kid starts applying to college. Built by finance nerds, OT is for anyone who wants to gain a clear picture of their financial future. It takes your guesses and turns them into educated, fact-filled, and data-driven scenarios so that you're prepared for life's bumps and detours. On Trajectory will walk you through the real-life questions to build your financial plan. With its helpful onboarding, you'll be up and running and ready to model anything. Taxes, equity, income, debt, you name it. Getting financial peace of mind requires a plan you can trust, and On Trajectory gets you to that plan, or plans, as the case may be. On Trajectory gives you complete control and flexibility and supports all the complexity of your real life. So find out where your money is taking you now. Go to www.grade43.com/OT and sign up for free today. That's www.grade43.com/OT. Thank you to On Trajectory for being a sponsor of Grade 43. So I think this leads us to like a cool topic in terms of talking about like demos, right? So, and we can go like a bunch of different ways, but for our listeners, just kind of like explain like what you do in terms of like demos and what you're creating there with your demos. And then
do you mean like the business side of it, or like what like the content of a demo?
Yeah, I think more just like more, both of those things, but like how that like sits with you, and like it's kind of like the
Okay.
what is that thing like, right? Because
Well,
that's, I think, an interesting
yeah.
idea that you're gonna get reached out to, like, hey, you'll do a good job presenting this, right? So can you present this, right?
It's taken me years and years to figure out my flow and what I do in videos, and every channel does things differently, and they have different goals that they want to achieve with their demos and stuff. And what I really figured out, like, and I think it really locked in at the beginning of the pandemic, because I started just leaning into unboxings. Um, People, like, I'm just a professional taste tester.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's my job. Like, I don't actually have to know anything. I just have to express what I'm experiencing,
And
so
get
that
it on record.
people can know, like,
Yeah.
oh, that is what I'll experience if I buy that product.
Mm.
As an unboxing, and as I'm pulling it out of the box, I'll experience what he's experiencing, plugging it in for the first time, going through the knobs. I don't have to. And something that really stressed me out when I first started doing demos is, like, I don't know everything. I don't know a lot. It's like, I don't know what parts are inside this thing to make a tone knob be one thing or another.
Right.
But I don't have to describe those things. I don't have to know the technical stuff.
You don't need to be Josh.
Right, exactly. There's already Josh. There's other people that know that stuff. I just have to, express what I'm experiencing, and people will come to my videos for that, and then they'll go to someone else's video for the technical information. They'll go to someone else's video for, like, oh, here's the exact way to apply this pedal to this classic rock song or whatever. Like, we all have different roles, and it's just so much smarter to find your own niche and just do your own thing. And eventually the people that resonate with that will find you. But it's a long grind to get there.
Yeah.
And just for listeners that don't know what I meant by Josh, we always like to kind of fill this in.
Sure.
It's like he's the owner of JHS Guitar Pedals is who I'm talking to, and I know that Ryan knows him, so he knew exactly what I meant by that. But Josh,
there's only one Josh.
There is only one Josh, but I think he's a robot.
Trying to think of another Josh in the industry. And when when people in the industry say Josh, we know who we're talking about.
We know who we're talking about. I have the box here. So sorry.
Well, I just got to say thank you for explaining, because I wasn't really sure.
Josh is of JHS.
And he does his channel is exceptional. By the way, and he doesn't do that channel because it's his living the way it is for me. He does it as a way to build his brand, and it's so smart, and they do it so well. And
so well.
He's got like 4 or 5 full-time employees making that show happen, which is like, it shows. And people who don't realize what goes into these things, they don't realize like how difficult what they do is to do the live videos at the quality that they do them. Like, the amount of equipment that they're running is
live jams. I mean, like, they just do all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is serious business what they're doing over there.
And half of the time it's other people's product, not his own product.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
That's the whole ecosystem of this stuff, though. Like, is you can't, there's some builders who are like, oh, I just want, I want people to buy my thing and not know about other people's stuff. And like, I've encountered that doing demos where I'm like, hey, do you mind if I do like this comparison thing between these? And like, we don't really like comparisons. But the thing is, the way that people shop for pedals is they buy a tube screamer, and they're like, oh, this is, I really like this tube screamer. Because I really like this tube screamer, I want to try another tube screamer. Like, this one over here is a little bit different. It has a switch on it that has a different mode, so I'll buy that one. And then they're like, well, I like this one too, but I feel like if it could do this specific thing, and then they seek out like a list of 10 others, and they're like, they sit there. It's a huge hobby to sit there and collect these things and micro analyze the slight differences and buy a bunch of them and sell the ones you're not using. And then you end up going back to the first one because that's the one that got you in love with them.
Is this biographical right now?
Right.
What's the craziest gear dragon that you've ever chased?
Well, I'm a big fan of DoD 250s. The first one I ever got, I bought it used in a Guitar Center parking lot from a guy on Craigslist for like $30, and I fell in love with it. And months later ended up dropping like $275 on a boutique one. You know, like someone's, handmade boutique custom circuit sort of thing. I was like, well, I love this. Maybe I'll, 8 times as much love that one.
And
I still have both of them and I love them. They're both great. I still have
8
both
times
of them.
better. 8 times better.
No, but
that's okay. It's
special.
Okay. It's what makes
special.
Look. We have our Casio watches and we have our Patek Philippe's, and they both tell time. And you buy your watch for a reason. It's okay.
Yeah, things don't scale that way. You know,
no, the world doesn't scale that way. But
no.
But what happens to you? Because we interviewed Phil, so I'm curious to get your take on things. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Phil's awesome. I love Phil.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we went like. First interview, let's interview Phil McKnight. And now, no, I'm kidding. We just keep going up and up and up with our
How long did he keep you talking? Because he can talk.
We went through 3 Zooms.
We went through 3 Zooms with Phil.
That is not a surprise.
Back in our pauper days when we didn't pay for
Zoom we didn't pay for Zoom. Now we pay for Zoom. We're fancy.
Okay, so my Phil
my
story.
Question. Yeah.
Let's hear it.
No, you ask your question. Ask your question.
Okay, my question is, what happens when you don't like the gear you review, that you get paid to review?
And then just the facts. It's just like, here it is. Like, okay, here's the features. Like I tell the brands, like, what I do is a hybrid of a demo and a review. Like a demo is like, imagine the guy at the county fair with the ShamWows. That's a demonstration. A review is like, well, I didn't really like that Marvel movie because blah, blah, blah. I set out to do a demo.
Yeah.
My personal thoughts about the product leak in as I go. I don't charge for reviews. I charge for my demo. The review happens. So if I don't connect with something or I find a problem with it, I point out the problem. I point out the reason I'm not connecting with it, and then I move on to the other features.
Got it.
How long have you ever in those occurrences? Have you ever gotten like really like pushback from the builder? Be like, what the hell are you talking about? Why did you talk about this? Why didn't you talk about that?
It is pretty rare that a brand has a problem that they vocalize to me at all ever. And I do some wild, dumb stuff in videos, so that's pretty incredible. I get a lot of stuff wrong, and like that's part of the comment section. It's always open for people to correct me, and if it's like a big correction, I'll pin it. I'll be like, I got that wrong.
But you don't blast people's stuff either.
No, I don't set out to blast people's stuff.
Right.
If there's a problem where it's like, this problem shouldn't be here, I'll say so. So I worked with a budget guitar brand a while back, and they started to get really aggressive because I did like 3 videos, and 2 out of 3 I found major issues with the guitar. And this this brand started telling me it's Bad Cat guitars. I don't need to protect them. It's Bad Cat guitars.
That's the kits, right? They have kits.
They have kits, and then they do kind of like they do counterfeits now. I didn't know they were doing counterfeits, and the last one they sent me had counterfeit EMGs in it. I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to work with you anymore. After that, I really don't want to cover counterfeit stuff, like stuff that's like a clone, whatever.
Right.
Counterfeit, that's a different thing. But yeah, he was really trying hard to coerce me into not publishing videos if I found things wrong. And he's like, who does that help? My audience.
Yeah.
That's who it helps. And I have a hard rule that if it's sent to me, I'm gonna film it and I'm going to publish it. Like what you sent to me, there's a likelihood that a consumer would get the same issues, so why wouldn't I document that? Also, like, to keep everybody honest, to keep myself honest, I don't invoice for my stuff until I publish. So it's like, I might not get that money.
That's what you're delivering on, right?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I have gotten paid every single time. Though.
Interesting.
It's never been. It's there are people who have taken quite a while to pay, but I think eventually they realize that all the guitar YouTubers talk to each other, and if you don't pay, then I'm gonna go on one of the various forums, like secret forums that we had, and be like, hey guys, don't work with these guys. They don't pay their bills.
Interesting.
And then they can't get demos anymore from anyone.
Right. Because Phil said Phil's approach is more of like the review, and he's I don't even know if he gets paid by some of these. He just reviews stuff. I don't know. There's different ones, and he'll say it. He'll say this is a paid endorsement or whatever. But like,
yeah,
he's had issues, and manufacturers weren't happy. And then what they try to do is get other people to say that it's good or something, or they find other YouTubers to do stuff.
Phil has a really unique dynamic around his relationships with brands because he used to be a retailer.
Yep.
And so he has previous relationships with brands as a retailer, and the retailers and the brands, that relationship is a lot more serious.
Yeah.
And a lot more like, we're not scratching each other's back, then we're like biting at each other's neck sort of thing. And so his initial relationships cause energies to be a little bit different than mine. Like I'm just
right.
a YouTuber. Like,
right.
Yeah. You're not ordering 30 of anything.
Right. Exactly. And he's not a retailer anymore,
right. Yeah.
But those pre-existing relationships persist, his points of contact persist as retail contacts and retail relationships. So that energy can be quite a bit different than mine. And I'm glad that I don't get that,
So, like so we need the Phil story.
But the people that I interact with at brands are the marketing people. They're not the business people. They don't actually care what the profit margins are. It's their job just to find people like me and send me stuff and make sure the checks get signed and stuff like that.
Do you get the calls from the people we love your show, we want to send you a pedal, that whole thing that I've heard about, where people don't know anything about you because a lot of these brands don't know how to deal with YouTubers yet, and they just
there's plenty of that. And mostly that's the import brands. They're just like, we found you on YouTube, the numbers check out, can we send you stuff, sort of thing. It's all over email. I don't like to do phone stuff.
Right.
As we talked about.
We covered
no
phones.
So my Phil story.
Yes.
Sorry. I'll try to make it quick.
No.
I was very new YouTuber. I ran into Phil at NAMM. NAMM is the huge, trade show convention for like instrument stuff. I ran into him. I just started out YouTube and was frustrated by, how slow it was going and stuff. I was like, hey, Phil, I was wondering if you have any tips for a new YouTuber, blah, 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 and he ended up talking to me for like 4 or 5 hours. NAMM shut down and we ended up in the parking lot and he wouldn't stop talking. I had to stop it and walk away, and he was just dropping so much on me. And it's like, he didn't have to do that. I was nobody. No one knew who I was. He didn't know who I was. And he just loves to talk. He loves to help. He loves to tell you real information. Yeah. And I have a lot of respect for Phil.
He's got a lot of insight, and he's got a lot of he's a thinker. You meet him and you're like, oh, he's a good old boy. Oh no, this guy is like a thinker. He's thinking about stuff.
And he legitimately cares about his audience and what he tells them to. He doesn't get everything right. I disagree with Phil sometimes, but he legitimately cares and legitimately has interest in protecting his audience and communicating correctly to his audience. And it's, I have a lot of respect for Phil. Most of us,
unlike us, we don't want an audience. We tell them to go away.
The vast majority of people in the scene, the guitar YouTuber demo review scene or whatever, are really upstanding people and really deeply care about protecting their audience when they run into issues with instruments and stuff like that, and like making sure that people know what they ran into. There's always some bad actors out there that just want to get the check. But the vast majority of us, I've been incredibly impressed with this industry.
So what does, because I only have 2 interview questions. It all boils down to 2 interview questions. I feel like we've covered one of them. So what does a day look like for you? What's like your average mode of doing things until you wait for your kids to sleep through the night themselves?
Well, I'm full stay at home, self-employed, and I have been for over a decade now. And so there's a lot that comes along with that. And a big part of that is learning that just because you're home doesn't mean that you're not at work, sort of thing. And finding those barriers. Like I'm very, very personally strict. Like I work a 9 to 5, and sometimes I play hooky, sometimes it's like, what, let's go do something fun. But the default is 9 to 5 is work time. And I don't work after 5, like you have to set that hard barrier. As far as like my workflow goes, there's a lot of emailing, there's a lot of communicating around that chews up a lot of time. There's a lot of editing. Most of this is editing.
It's like
I can imagine.
Yeah. The guy with the bandsaw gets to have all the fun, and the guy with the sandpaper spins. That's like in my videos, I have the little editing Ryan that pops up from sometimes, and we really are like two different people, because Ryan that sits in front of the camera, he doesn't care.
That's right. Tape's like, free, right?
Yeah, tape is free.
I'm gonna go off mic, and whatever.
Yeah. Take your time, change what you're talking about. Who cares? Change settings on camera, whatever. It doesn't have to make sense. And then editing Ryan has to make sense of all it all. Like, who is this asshole that I work with? And it's me.
Doesn't even take notes, bastard.
Right. So like the actual shooting part, it's probably like 5 hours a week. If I do 2 videos a week, right, then it's 2 hours for one of them, 3 hours for the other one. But the editing is like 3 days,
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a lot of work. I definitely always have a full schedule. I'm trying to work towards changing that to get myself more time to experiment around and do more musical stuff and have more time to breathe. So I've been making moves to raise my rates slowly and see if I can find an equilibrium where it's like, okay, I'm charging more and working less.
Are you still a month behind on?
I always have. Yeah. I'm booked up through most of December right now, and if I'm honest with myself, I should call it all of December, because I should take time off for the holidays.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm booked up with my new schedule, because I used to be booked up a month to 2 months out, filming 2 paid demos a week. And it was too much to keep up with. And the moment I fell behind, then it was like landslide and backing up the toilet behind me sort of thing. Right. And I'm trying really, really hard to limit myself to 1 paid demo a week right now. And then if I have time, then I'll do a fun video. I'll do a modification. I'll do like some crazy idea that I have or something like that I know that I can crank out really fast and not have to worry about, the technical aspects or knowing the product or something like that. Yeah. But that's my goal right now.
You said an interesting word. You said fun, right? So it's like does the success of the content, like, has that been at odds with like your ability to have fun? Because I assume like you didn't just decide like, well, I've never touched a guitar before, right? So I'm going to start a YouTube channel and learn about it, right? So you have some proclivity towards it. So are those ever at loggerheads, or do you find time to mess around in a fun way with instruments?
I used to have a band, and when stuff started to really heat up, and with the channel and me realizing like, I need to dig in if this is going to replace my previous income. Yeah. I basically had a moment where it's like, I don't have it in me to book shows anymore. If someone else in the band wants to handle the booking shows, then we can do a practice here and there, and I can show up and we can play.
And then it ended.
And then it ended. No one wants to book shows. It's a pain in the butt to book shows.
Of course it is. Man.
And so that part of, I never played in bands to try to make a living doing it, to try to be anyone. It's like, that's purely fun for me. And I've been missing that a lot. So I'm hoping to be able to get back to that. And I called up my guys and like, you guys want to get the band back together? And we're, it's been like a month and a half of us like chatting about getting it back together, and we still haven't had practice, But I'm really hoping to be able to get back to doing stuff like that. And my kids are sleeping now, and
that's right.
They're in school.
I hear there's a light at the end of the tunnel for that.
Yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it feels like like the channel has grown to the point where it's like, apparently I can keep raising my prices and the work keeps coming in. So maybe I can find an equilibrium where it's a little bit less intense and there is room to live a life outside of just work and feeding kids and putting them to bed.
Dare to dream, man.
I know. Yeah, big dreams.
And follow up to that, the podcast, is that pretty like self-run, so to speak, or is there a lot that goes into
the podcast? Yeah, it's kind of like you do the same thing every week. We find a couple guitar ads, we get a couple topics lined up, we do the thing. The edit on that is like feels mechanical because it's the same thing every time, and it's like it's easy. Like the podcast is. There's a reason so many of us have podcasts because it's easy, it's fun. The thing I always say is that podcast exists as an excuse for middle-aged men to have friends,
100%.
This is totally right. I had bigger aspirations at one point, but now I'm very, very happy and content to just talk to my friend Brian, who I've known for like 40 years, and then get to talk to people like you because it's awesome.
And the miracle of RSS brings us together.
I get to see my friend Steve once a week, and we get to have conversations that we would have had. The podcast grew out of us saying like, "Oh, we're listening to podcasts, and these sound like us talking already. Like, let's just record it."
Right. Okay, so we got a couple minutes, and we haven't really talked guitar stuff, which is what we do anyway. We're sort of the who's our interviewer guy that we like, Brian?
Werner Herzog.
Oh yes, that's what I was thinking.
All right.
The comedian. We always compare our podcast to him. Come on.
Oh, Mark Maron.
Okay.
Anyway, we're more.
I met Mark once.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Nice.
Cool.
I have. It's a fun little Mark moment story.
Wow. I saw him on stage once. Before
we went to that show together.
We went to that show together. That's right. When you still lived down here. But I did want to ask, like, are there trends in 2022 that you liked or that you disliked, things that you saw because you get to see so much gear? And what are you predicting for 2023 kind of thing around guitars? Because we didn't talk about any kind of stuff.
Sure. The trend right now, unfortunately, is a major dip in quality control from all builders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pandemic probably, or just...
bummer stuff. Well, it's this whole the pandemic cycle of like, oh, this thing is starting. Is it going to crash our industry? Should we conserve it? Everyone's buying guitars. We're selling out of guitars. There's nothing in the warehouse. Raise prices. And then the pandemic crests, and they're like, oh, we got the prices high. Things are good. And now things are dipping down, and people are going outside the house, and their hobbies are getting neglected, and they're not buying stuff as much anymore. And, during at that hump, because a lot of these brands, they put in their production orders years ahead of time. So by the time they got here, they were getting, geared up for the orders that they made here on the upside of the curve. And now they're on the downside. So many ships have
already sailed. Yeah.
And so now they're cutting costs the places where they can, because they don't have the cash flow forecasted the way they did before.
Interesting.
And QC gets it first. It's just, instead of having three people at the end checking everything, now they have one person doing a visual check and like, fine. And
there's probably, sorry, go.
I'm hearing from guitar tech friends, like, everything from every brand coming in right now is just like, they're missing major things.
Wow. Interesting.
And do you find, because I find that, I don't indulge my gear habit too much, but I browse like crazy. It's like internet porn. Like,
that's what we do. Yeah.
And I think maybe you talked about this on the podcast, maybe the Tony Iommi one.
Yes,
Tony Iommi
they talked a lot about the Tony Iommi signature. Gibson,
which Tony Iommi, awesome. Didn't sound like his guitar was so good. But it seems like they've got just like some bad ideas where you're like, what are we going to do with these 4,000 things? Oh, well, I don't know. Why don't we make it this? Okay, good. And then they market some terrible idea as something that's meant as a measure to reduce inventory so that it like frees things up. So do you feel like there's more of that going on?
I'm not sure if that's like, you're saying that they made a bunch of SGs and now they're just rebranding them as
not necessarily the Tony Iommi one, but just like in terms of like, hey, we've got all these differently colored knobs laying around. What are we going to do with those?
Oh,
sure. You know what? Let's come up with this model of whatever, and we'll sell it as this, even though we're talking about a 70-cent knob.
Right. I don't know how much of that goes on. There's with major parts, you'll see repurposing of necks and bodies and things like that from various manufacturers. But as far as knobs go, I'm not so sure. I think they
have a fender like that.
Save them somewhere. Yeah.
Like, we're gonna mix a Tele electronics with a Jazzmaster body or whatever.
Right. Those are fun. they did those as a response to the modding community because everyone was building those on their own, and they're like, we're not getting that piece of the pie, so we need to do it on our own.
That makes sense.
But that was a huge thing for a while. People making their own telemasters or whatever.
Yeah,
they're called.
whatever they're calling them.
Yeah.
And anything you see coming in 20, like where?
It's tough to say. Like, I don't find out about stuff that's coming out until like 2 or 3 weeks until it launches. So it's like it's harder for me to see the trends.
Yeah.
Than the the manufacturers see and stuff like that.
So we'll call you like around Christmas, and then we'll go back and edit and republish this.
That's right. Les Paul Jr. That's my call. The Les Paul Jr. is the hot item right now, but that's Calamar's thought on guitar.
I think with the pullback of the consumer dynamic changing right now, because things got really wild for a while. Things got pretty exciting, like wild colors, wild loadouts, all sorts of different models and stuff. I think we're going to see a return to like pretty conservative lines that are more like crowd pleasers, but not taking too many risks sort of thing. Like that's kind of my forecast.
You don't want to end up with hundreds of these in your warehouse, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And guitar industry's got to be like the fashion industry, and where you just do the opposite the following year. So if you got big bellowy pants, you do skinny short pants or whatever. So it's the same. You got the relic guitars, which some folks call acid washed guitars.
Right.
You're going to have not relic guitars.
Yeah. I think that the trend for the future is going to be more guitars. Just more.
Wait a minute.
How much innovation can there be?
I think it'll be more men like us justifying the purchase of guitars.
Yes. Of a $250 DoD 250. Yes.
Right. Yeah. No, I got to try this other thing. What if it's, a little bit, it does the thing.
This one has a Russian capacitor in it. It's the sound I've been looking for.
I mean, some of that stuff can be really cool.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, this is totally different sound. But then the reality is like, we're all just, the most of the people keeping this industry alive are bedroom players, and it's never going to end up on a recording. It's never going to end up in a band. We want to try it all. Just want to try it all.
Yeah, I loved your description. We're going to wrap up. We don't want to keep you, but like you definitely. It sounds like when you said taste tester, I just started to think it's just like fine wine. It's all about the oh, this Cabernet. Oh, it's very oaky. Oh, this one has like some blueberry hints of blueberry or whatever, and it's exactly that. Like that's what you do.
That's what like demos are. Is all just like creative adjectives. Like, oh man, this humbucker is barky. What does that mean? But we all agree that it's true. It's like, yeah, it is barky. Yeah. That's right.
yeah. Brian and I were going to try to make videos based on those brilliant ideas, like barky. What's your barky? Here's my barky, or here's your whatever ice pick.
Right. Like you need to have flashcards with the gear adjectives on them, and just put out a piece of gear. Don't even play through it. Just put out the cards. Like, here you go.
What are my keywords here?
Yeah, this is all you need to know about this product. It's barky. It's mellow. It's it's brisk. It's a little
haunting mids. Throaty is a popular one. Throaty is a big one.
Someone should write out like a glossary of all and just keep it going and keep adding to it as the terms.
Oh yeah, you got that woolly. There's all this stuff.
Yeah, bright, dark.
Well, we didn't even talk drip or anything.
Oh my gosh,
we spent an entire hour not talking. We got to say, like Scott Newman, our very first interview, he loves you and he loves surf guitar, and he talked about your podcast and your love of surf guitar, and he actually even went out and bought a Surfy Bear unit and all that, and we did some stuff, and I actually stole your HX Stomp set for surf guitar.
Yeah, we should have.
I need to make a new one because they just came out with that update.
They did 3.5 new cabs. They're pretty cool. It's actually kind of cool with a little mic and all that. Kind of like
I've always had to do tricks. I've always had to do tricks like combining cabs with different mics and stuff to get the sound that I want. I really want to see like, can I just do it with one cab now?
Yeah. So, okay, last question for me. Because I asked you on Instagram, but you get a million questions, so I didn't see if you answered or not. But you showed a picture of your pedal board that you use at church. When do you use a pedal board versus using something like the HX Stomp, or do you ever use the I'll just leave it at that.
I've found that my use of the HX Stomp has become almost strictly when I go and do like travel content, like I go to NAM or I go to Hennings in Germany or something like that. It's just a really convenient way to get good tones to record direct. And I've found that for playing gigs and bands and stuff like that, I just really enjoy the dynamic of a pedal board. I enjoy being able to swap things out. You know, you can do anything that you want in the modelers and they sound fantastic, but there's something about like, oh, I've got a new pedal and it's green
knobs
and it's got a knob on it.
Right? I mean, feel your foot crunch down on the button.
Exactly. It's a physical thing. You can move around. You take it on and off and see how your whole rig changes and stuff. There is something so magical about that. And I totally believe the technology has gotten there with modeling. It was like, yeah, you can sound great. You can sound amazing with modelers now. And the preset function of it is just like you go on tour, it's never going to change. And you can download your presets to your laptop or the cloud or whatever. If the unit goes down, go buy another one, reload your presets, and you're safe. You're totally safe. Modelers are an amazing invention, but I just enjoy the physical knobs and swapping out the little colorful boxes and you know, discovering sounds that haven't been put into modelers yet and stuff. And and there's certain things like fuzz, it hasn't really been done well in modelers yet.
And on the fly, they're impossible. I was trying to change something on the fly and it just made everything crazy and worse.
No, you need to spend a week dialing in your presets and then, tweak it as you go, and then like someday you'll have a preset like I'll never change this. And now I'm locked in.
And then you can probably have like a pocket fold map that you keep when you do need to change it on stage, and you can hold it
right.
Like, you got hold down, or something
turn,
like that, right?
Press that at the same time, do the thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's doing a firmware update now. Damn it.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst. Oh man, I paid money for this tuner app. I swear, like 2 out of 3 times that I use it, the tuner function is down because they're updating it. It's like, why did I pay for this? But I'm locked in because I paid for it. I can't use another one now. I think my biggest pet peeve these days is products with apps. Like I'm really close to saying I don't want to demo any products with apps. I'm just done.
Phil said that he doesn't want to deal with an app.
Yeah, well, and that's a ton thing too, right?
Because like in the moment it's an app, it's like now I have to show an entire app in a demo. That's like a whole other product demo. I should really just charge double for apps.
There you go.
So see, at the end of our interview, we figured out how to double your rates. So this is amazing.
That's right.
Ryan
you got an
is
app,
only
it's
going
doubled.
to demo products that have apps now because he's going to charge double.
Oh no! What have I done?
Calamar's a software guy, so he'll consult for free.
There you go. We just doubled your income. So yes, now you can buy our podcast.
Most products
one demo every other week.
Most products don't need the app to function. But
you're wrong. No.
But a lot, like if
we
product,
can justify an app for everything.
If a product needs an app to function, like a guitar pedal or something like that, like I think that's a bad product because it's not future proof.
Right.
Yeah, that's a lot of layers.
Shh, don't tell people that. Come on. Don't.
It's like when you go to the pawn shop and you see one of those old like Digitech delays that needed like the giant printer cartridge memory, and that thing is missing. So it's like, well, it doesn't function anymore. Like it's over.
Yeah.
I was trying to find my Zoom pedal Atari that's got a memory card that you can't get anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's somewhere up here. I don't know where it is.
Someday we'll be on all completely different devices. Like, well, this thing used to do this cool thing because there was an app, but now we're,
we'll be like, thank God iOS went away. And
we don't have
able to use blah, blah, blah.
Right. I went to look at an apartment to rent. This was years ago, but I will never forget that they had. Oh, we have built-in jacks. Well, but your jack is from like the iPhone 2 and it's an iPhone 8 and like it doesn't work. Like your dumb thing now, just a hole in my wall. Like I don't want you. Yeah.
I haven't as an adult homeowner and who's, lived in an apartment and a rented home and stuff like that before my home. I have never once paid for a landline. I've never had a landline.
Wow.
Right.
And so my kids see the telephone plug in the house and like, what is that? I'm like, you don't need to worry about that.
That's right. We only need that if shit goes real bad.
I wouldn't even know what to do at this point. Like I have to find a phone company. I don't know. it might as well be like an old fixture for an oil lamp or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's like a lithograph or whatever, an old record player, or the old photos, whatever.
Right. Like, oh, that's where the whale oil used to feed a lamp, 200 years ago,
Yeah, well, because when you wake up in the middle of the night to read the Bible and drink your glass of milk because you've been asleep since sunset at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, and I kind of wish we would get back to that. Like that missing time that humanity used to have, where we'd go to bed at sunset, but then wake up from like 11 to 1 and like go down to the pub or like make a sandwich or write a scary story by candlelight. And
that's right. Split some wood.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go outside and split some wood. Oh my god!
All right, well, dude, it's been absolutely awesome to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. We probably got I don't know. I'll get this out probably by Tuesday, I think.
Oh, sure, whenever. You guys don't have a hard schedule. You just put them up whenever.
We try. No, we try. We try to every 2 weeks and release on Mondays.
Yeah, and up until the summer when just like personal stuff got in the way, that was solid and that was good. So we're probably only we'll be a couple days behind, I think.
Yep.
That, so.
Yep. But we definitely
people listen.
Yeah. That's the thing. I'm like, oh my god, people are going to drop off. But then we look at the stats, and it's like, yeah, no, numbers are the same. And some people download on week 2 instead of week 1, and it doesn't make it's just
podcast audiences are the most consistent audiences there are. Like YouTube audience, so fickle. I have to work so hard to keep them going. Podcast audiences, it's hard to grow a podcast audience, but once you have them, you're in their habit. And they're just going to keep checking in on you.
Yeah.
Oh, they got something new. Oh, I'll listen to it. I'm at work. I'm driving. I'll listen to it.
Right.
It's beautiful. They're fantastic. Hello, that's podcast audiences.
We love our podcast audience.
No, they're
podcast audience.
No, podcast listeners are the worst.
No. Both of our listeners are amazing. They're so good. So good.
That's right. Especially since we raised their salaries.
Yeah.
Here's something you'll find out as you grow. When you get, and you've got 40, 50, 100 episodes or something like that, people will discover you and they'll download all of them at the same time.
Yeah.
So you'll look at the numbers and be like, what the hell happened on Tuesday? Oh, you got 2 new listeners and they downloaded everything.
Right. They definitely go back and download the first episode more than anything else, it seems like, because our first episode numbers are way higher.
Such a mistake. It's always a mistake to listen to the first episode of any podcast.
That's why we were smart. Like, we shit canned like our first 3 episodes and didn't even release them.
Yeah, that's right.
We had to re-record like our second or third or something like that because it was so bad.
We've had so many moments where I'm like, oh my god, do we even have usable audio? Is this gonna how many hours is this gonna take to edit? Is this gonna work?
Yeah. Cool.
But we've got them on the hook now.
Yeah. I didn't tell my Mark Maron story. You want to hear that?
Yeah, let's hear it. Yes.
Are we still in the show, or is this after show?
And we can keep talking. No, whatever. We just know, like, it's like 6 o'clock for you, and you have kids. Like, they're
if I do this long enough, I don't have to put the kids to bed.
Oh, okay. Well, we will indulge that for as long as you.
No, I've got about an hour and a half to that, so I'm not going to aim for that. I'll tell my Mark story really quick. I was at NAMM. And he was there. I saw him at the Gibson booth earlier, and I had a really awkward interaction, like shaking his hand.
He plays guitar.
He's a decent player. Yeah,
that's right.
And so I ran into him, shook his hand, and then kind of awkwardly split ways. And he was like, "Okay, whatever, a fan." Yeah. And then I saw him later in the day. He was at some booth, and he was walking away from it. And I had my thoughts clear, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to be able to talk to him. I'm not, starstruck. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, Mark, we ran into each other earlier. I just want to let you know I'm a big fan. I also have a guitar podcast if you ever want to listen to a guitar podcast. And I handed him the card, and he holds it, and he's like, oh, yeah. And I look at him, and he looks at me. We're making eye contact. And I'm like, you're not going to listen to it. And he's like, yeah.
Wow. I haven't had that many belly laughs in a while. That was
that was a really fun time, and Ryan was super generous with his with his time to talk to us.
Yeah, totally.
Because he definitely won't install the Grade 43 app because we know his feelings about software. So
that's right. That's right.
Since he's not going to adopt our platform, it was really cool of him to talk to us.
Yeah, and is he ever going to listen to our podcast? As he said about Mark Maron.
Yeah, I had that exact same thought. But you know what? We could probably pay him to do a demo of our podcast. Money's money, right?
Money
what
is
does he
money.
care?
I never know how our interviews are going to go, and some of these folks I kind of know from talking to, and some of them I don't know at all or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, just how different, just how they flow or don't flow. I don't know what to say. Like some folks, I feel like we're kind of coaxing out content, and with other folks, it's like, we got to keep up. Oh my goodness, this person is like they just have so much good stuff to talk about. It's amazing.
Well, and I think especially this interview and the last one makes me feel like we overthink things a lot, because one of the things that I picked, we talked about Steve. Steve is like, well, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to learn that thing and I'm going to go do it. And Ryan had the attitude of like, oh, you told me to do a demo? Okay, I'm going to do that demo and I'm going to publish it and you're going to get it. Like he has like no shame about it. Whereas like at least me personally, I would be like, oh, I got to say that your second gain stage is just really not as crunchy as I want it to be. Is that going to be okay? And it's like he just rolls it and goes with it.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, not crazy. That's actually like the freaking sensible, they paid him to figure this out, right? To have him figure stuff out for them. So.
Totally. I guess like something we didn't talk about, because I wasn't sure how to phrase it, but it's easier to just kind of make it monologue-y, is that like on his show, and he says things like, he tells you, hey, we're having a special on unboxings or whatever, and tells you how much it costs and whatever it is. And like, he's not trying to hide it behind some sort of veil of like, hey, this is just me trying out this cool gear. It's like, my job. I review your gear. Well, I do demos of your gear, and it has somewhat of a review aspect to it, of course, but like, this is what I do. I charge this much, and we have a special this month on new maker unboxings or whatever. And at first I was like, well, that's weird. Everyone else just is like, oh, cool, I just got the whatever pedal and I'm playing it. But it's like, no, you're not. They probably are paying you, and like you're doing a demo of that pedal. You don't just
ding dong. It's Mr. Postman. Oh, what does he have for me? Oh my goodness, it's a new pedal. Yeah, no, that's not happening.
That's not what's happening. Yeah. So like, I really, really appreciate Ryan's honesty and how he runs his
straight
thing.
Shooters, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And how he's carved out his place. It's like we said at the beginning. For me, he's sort of like the inspiration for, you can do it. You can be someone who is like, doesn't have some sort of amazing guitar resume or whatever to carry the thing. You just create your voice, and you find the people that like your voice, and you make a business out of it. And it's like the perfect example of
and it's the commitment. It's the committing to doing. I mean, he pays his bills by committing 5 hours a week to filming, right?
To filming, and then 3 days of editing, sanding.
Yeah.
And it's every week. You got to remember, this isn't for fun and for shits and giggles. Yep. This is every week. This is your job. Like, I'm going to get on camera. I'm going to shoot this video, and I'm going to edit it and put it out there. And that's hard work, man. That's hard work.
Yeah, and talk about and all the stress points are on you in a way, right?
Yeah.
You can do hard things at work, but ultimately you get to go home at night.
Right.
But if you're running an operation like that, it's literally your name is backing all this up. So.
Yep. And he pays not cheap mortgages in Southern California.
I can't imagine. Yeah. Can't imagine.
What you don't know is that his house is actually 200 square feet. So the kids were sleeping at his feet as he was talking to us. So, All right. Well, that was an awesome episode. I had a lot of fun doing that. I hope our listeners did as well.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked it out, you can totally check out 60 Cycle Home. And the thing that I appreciate about it, as both as a podcast and on the channel, is like it's easy to dip in and dip out of, right? And you know, we talked about one of his older videos about the left-handed, right-handedness, thing like that. But there are some podcasts you have to have like a good backstory and a good commit to, like in order to really engage with. You have to go, okay, I want to listen to this. But as people doing a podcast, talking to people who listen to podcasts, I feel like their podcast is well done, sounds, exactly like that, like what you'd expect a well-polished podcast to be. And you can very easily tell, I can get into this one, and you can go and walk away.
And it's well encapsulated is what you're saying too, right? You can just listen to whatever episode and you will be entertained. You don't need to, there's probably some inside jokes, but you don't need that to like get a lot out of it. So yeah, that's great. So a couple things. One, we know that probably our next episode is finally going to get to our homework. We're like always procrastinating on our homework. We are still working on slide guitar, and we've already actually started even talking about it and doing a whole bunch of work around it because we want to overachieve now.
As my son says, it's done. I just have to turn it in.
Right. It's done. I just have to turn. That's fantastic. Yep. That's fantastic. Oh my goodness. Wow. Go. Wow. Anyway, and we know that, so we'll be doing that pretty soon, and we're looking forward to that. And there's a few more interviews coming out, and you can email us at info@grade43.com. Right?
Amazingly, we've never gotten a single email.
Shh, we get emails I don't know what to do with all the emails we get from all our fans. So, and thank you to folks from Patreon that support us.
Yeah, that's right. We are still puzzling at what the upsell of that might be, or what the upshot of that might be for you, except our undying gratitude.
Yeah. Exactly. So thank you for that, and everyone around the world that's listening. That's kind of awesome, actually, too. So having people all over the world.
Yep.
Let us know.
I had this weird thing. We've got this new neighbor, and
they have kids.
They have, I think they way younger kids, but they.
Do they play near your yard?
No, they're not at the playing age, but their vehicles are often in front of my property, which leads me to want to run out the front door and yell,
"Get off my lawn!"
I hope my neighbor doesn't listen.
I'm hitting record. Here we go.
Record. Uh-oh.
Record to the cloud. Record to the cloud.
God,
it up.
I almost hit leave meeting. I swear to God. I'm sorry, sir. This does not comport with my security policy.
Yeah, this is privacy.